Welcome back to Horn Takes. I am Sean Redfern, and I'm flying solo today. And we're going to talk about this 27-10 win over the UTEP Miners yesterday. Man, that was probably the most disappointing win I've seen in a very, very long time for this Texas Longhorn program. Just man, really thought the offense would take a step forward. We knew it was going to be tough early. We talked about that all off season. It's going to take time because you're breaking in a lot of new guys. And despite the fact that Arch Manning had some experience and even some starting experience for the University of Texas, there was going to be a learning curve there. Head up to Ohio State, knew that would be a tough one. Have a pretty rough offensive game. Started to turn it on late. Then last week, I thought they took a step forward. This week against UTEP, who I think has a pretty decent defense, but that doesn't really explain anything that happened in this game offensively. Took a massive step backwards. We'll start out with our three keys for victory as we headed into the game. We'll kind of talk about those things, and then I'll have some 10 random thoughts about the game. Good morning, Joe. Thanks for joining. By the way, if you're out there watching, tap into the chat. Let us know what your thoughts are on the game. Love to chop it up with you guys. We'll just wing it this show. So our three keys heading in, I felt like and these were not keys I thought necessarily we had to have to beat UTEP. I said on the show Wednesday, we were talking with Michelle. I said there is very little chance that this Texas team loses this football game to UTEP. But these were things that I've seen so far in the first 2 weeks that were big problems. And if we don't fix them, we don't start fixing them now, we're going to wake up in SEC play and they're going to come back to bite us. Start fast. And to me, that doesn't necessarily mean take the ball. It just means show up. It's debatable whether they showed up. I don't think they looked, to me, they didn't look as lethargic and just disinterested like they did last week to start the game, but it wasn't really a start fast. They take the opening kickoff. I don't recall whether they got the coin toss if they won it or if that's just the way it went, but turn it over on downs. Then they go get a touchdown on the second drive, which was great, and then another touchdown on the final drive of the first half. So I mean, the defense started fine. And I have almost no worries about this defense the rest of the season. I think all the problems clearly lie on the offensive side of the ball. Offense did not start fast once again. So we're 0 for 1 on our keys. And again, these aren't keys to beat UTEP. These are keys that this offensive team needs to start getting better at, or they're going to lose a lot of football games this year. We talked about eliminating the penalties. And maybe it's impossible to eliminate penalties, but you've got to be able to make that a smaller number. Like you can't have 12 penalties and win football games against good football teams. Hey, they almost cut it in half. Only 7 penalties for 78 yards in this game, which again, not good. And I think, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to Zay on Friday. We jumped on for Chip Brown on Texas Sports Unfiltered on Friday. We've gotten worse. This Texas program has gotten worse penalty-wise year over year since Sark has been here. So there's clearly some sort of discipline problem. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not even a discipline problem, but it's definitely a problem. Way too many penalties. We talked about winning third down on offense. 5 of 16, 31%. That ain't going to get it done. And we're not even in the meat of the schedule. We're not even against teams that roster-wise come close to stacking up to this Texas roster. And then I said win in the red zone. They went 5 for 7. 3 of them were touchdowns. A lot better than the first 2 weeks. So they made some improvement. It wasn't much. Joe says he hasn't totally given up on Arch, but Matthew Caldwell, Trey Owens need some playing time versus Sam Houston on Saturday, just in case. I think he means that version of Arch shows up in Gainesville. I agree 100%. I think, I don't know, just something's wrong. And we'll talk about it later. It's one of my thoughts. Something is not right. I can't put a finger on it. I'm not with the program. I'm not even going to speculate. There's been tons of speculation about him possibly being injured. I don't know, but something is clearly not right. Like his mechanics look way off to me, and it's showing big time when he throws the football. So we started with our keys. We did not meet those keys once again, which I think to me is the disappointing part. It's not about, at this time of year against these types of teams, it's not necessarily about winning every game 60-0 or 60-3 or whatever. Probably if you're winning games like that, you're doing things well. To me, it's just about this offense doing something to improve, and we are just not seeing that. So let's jump into my 10 thoughts, and these are just random thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts yesterday on Twitter. If you guys follow me, if you don't follow me, right down there at the bottom of the screen, at Horn Takes, give us a follow. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter. Check us out. Do shows all the time that go onto YouTube, go right here on X. So anyway, my 10 thoughts starting out, like, I think you got to grow up, Sark. You got to take the points. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. I get it. He wants this team to get some confidence. He wants to get we can't get the ball 1 yard on fourth down monkey off his back. I get it. But you start dicking around like that and making that a thing, and it becomes your identity, and it's just what you do. And it's almost, I remember a game, hell, I don't even remember which bowl game it was. I know it was Ole Miss and it was Texas Tech playing in a bowl game probably 3 seasons ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Ole Miss missed on a fourth down early in the game. And then it was like they just went on tilt, and they were going to go on fourth down no matter what until they got a fourth down. It was almost like they were not playing a football game anymore. And their goal, their 100% goal at that point was just convert a fourth down. And I almost feel like that's what we're seeing with Sark. Like, he is so focused on this team being able to get that yard and convert that fourth down that we're leaving points on the board or on the field, off the board, whatever the hell you want to call it. Like, and that's the kind of stuff that can cost you games. Probably not against UTEP, probably not against Sam Houston, but you cannot leave points on the table like we're leaving points on the table. Let's play like a football game. Take the points. I love seeing 50 rushing attempts out of this Texas offense. 43 of those were from the backs, which I thought was awesome. I think we need more of that. Whatever is going on with Arch, mental injury, just maybe he's not that good. Whatever it is, like, you can help him by running the football. You got all those backs. You got all those greatest backs in their class. Put them on the field. Let's hand them the ball. So I like that. I thought that was great. Elephant in the room, Arch was bad. 11 of 25 with a touchdown. I think he had 2 on the ground. 1 interception, 44% completions, and he missed some bad ones. He missed 2 touchdowns I can vividly remember. Something doesn't look right. Way too much dropping the elbow, sidearm throws. And again, I'm not a quarterback expert. I just know it doesn't look the same as Arch Manning last year. Even in limited time, does not look the same. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what the answer is, but I do think I do think we need to start getting some guys some time because I don't know. I mean, if Texas goes to Gainesville and that's what we get out of Arch Manning, I think you got to make a change at some point. I don't think you're winning that football game. I tweeted out yesterday. There's like 4 games now that I am like just I have no confidence that Texas can win those games now. I think Oklahoma looks scary to me. Not them necessarily. I'm talking about just the game. Georgia, Texas A&M, and this was before Texas A&M even. I mean, I think I tweeted it out before they kicked the ball off against Notre Dame. Vandy. We're gonna have to figure out a way to complete some forward passes, and you gotta hit guys that are open. Gave up no sacks offensively. I thought that was. I mean, we talked about it on the show Wednesday. UTEP had 10 sacks headed into this game through 2 weeks, and I thought the offensive line held up great. Arch had to move around a little bit, but I think you're going to see that when you got a team that's coming in that can get after the quarterback the way UTEP can get out after the quarterback. And I thought for the most part I think he handles those situations really well. Offensive line gave him time. Joe says Gainesville, Cotton Bowl, Lexington, and Starkville. We could lose all 4 of those games. Hey, I if that's what we have offensively, what we saw yesterday, if that's really what we are, and I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if that is more what we played 3 games so far. We've seen 2 pretty lackluster offensive games. We saw one where I thought we were getting right. I don't know if it was fool's gold. We'll find out. We'll see if they can make it even it up and we can have 2 good offensive games. We get one next Saturday. But if we play like that offensively in SEC play, I I mean, I could see us going anywhere. I could see us going anywhere from 5-3 maybe in SEC play to 0-8. Like that's not going to get it done. The defense is outstanding. The defense will be able to keep this team in any game they play the rest of this year. But man, you got to be able to score points. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to be able to possess. And they actually possessed the ball for a long time. I think it was like 36 minutes or something like that. We held on to the ball. We just really didn't do anything with it. Neto, man, we talked about Neto after last week's game. I thought the offensive line, I thought the running game in particular looked a whole lot different when Neto U was in the game. And I know he played. I went and saw. I didn't see him. I didn't actually notice him during the game, but I saw he was in the game. Now I don't know. I don't know in what capacity he played some, but every time I looked up, it was Connor Stroh at left guard. So it looks like the coaches have made that decision. They're the coaches. They know more than me. I'm not going to argue about it. I just know what my eyes saw last Saturday when we brought Neto in. We were able to get some push and open up some holes and get some space for these running backs. So it could be the case that Connor Stroh is really good in pass pro, which he probably is. Like we didn't give up any sacks. They must be all good at pass pro. And they like that a little better. I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed not to see more rotation there. I thought maybe they would use this game to do what they did last weekend and then decide. And maybe they saw everything they needed to last Saturday to make that decision. I don't know. I just Neto U has been, and I say Neto U because I mess up his last name like pretty consistently. He's been blocking. He's been run blocking for a long time at Texas. He's good at it, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I just missed more of him than I think. And I haven't rewatched the game, folks. This is all these thoughts are almost literally while I was watching, or just quickly kind of looking at the stats afterwards. Why is Texas going for it 5 times on 4th down against UTEP? To me, that's like what desperate teams do. Or, as I said earlier, when you're focused in on it so much that you let it like control your thoughts during the game. Like I really do feel like Sark is almost in this place on 4th down where he just wants to get one, and he's going to just keep going for it until they get one. I don't like that. I don't. I hope he doesn't coach that way in the SEC games. Sark has a lot less like old school SEC in him than I thought he might. And I'm not saying I'm not. This is going to be an overly negative show, obviously, and because it was crap. The offense was absolutely terrible. Sark leads the offense, so we'll talk about that. But I'm still not down on Sark. I just wonder what he's thinking. So, like, I just wish I could know what he's thinking, and I never will, and that's fine. But he does some puzzling things, and I think going 5 times on 4th down against a team like UTEP, it's no good. I mean, let's say they convert all 5 of those 4th downs. Let's say they do. What does that even mean? They could go out next week and convert none on 4th down. I get the whole analytics thing. I understand it. And I've talked about this in baseball. When we talk about the baseball team sometimes, I think you can overanalyze. Like there has to still be a feel portion of what you're doing. Like you have to make human decisions. It cannot all just be, all right, my thing says let's go for it. Let's go for it. Because 61% of the time in this situation, teams pick it up. He needs to analyze like what his team does, which is not get 4th downs. Yeah, Joe says it's okay to punt and kick field goals. I agree 100%. With that defense, I see no reason to just bang your head against that wall and expect something different to happen. And I don't. Again, I mean, I think probably again he's probably trying to get that monkey off his back. He's also probably trying to build some confidence in the team that they can do that if they need to. It's just not working though. That's the thing. Like you can't just do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It is what it is. I don't think doing it multiple times a game is necessarily making them better at possibly being successful the next time. So again, I go back to like taking the points. You got to grow up a little bit, man. It, I get some Nick Saban in you. Let's punt. Let's let that defense play. And at this point, if you're Sark or anybody, you have got to be way more comfortable with your defense making you a big play than your offense making you a big play at this point. Whole lot of boos raining down from Daryl K. Royal. You could hear him on the broadcast. I was not there yesterday. A lot of people speculating about what those boos were for, whether they were for Arch, whether they were just for the fact that whether they were just generalized boos. I don't know, and I don't think it matters. The fact that the Texas Longhorns, the preseason #1 team, with the roster they have and the coaching staff they have and the money that's been poured into this program, the fact that that is having that bad of a game against a team like UTEP, that's the problem. Like, you shouldn't be getting booed playing UTEP for any reason. You should just go out and beat UTEP. Like, beat the brakes off of them. I'm not a huge fan of booing. You asked me 20 years ago about booing, and I'd probably tell you I don't like it. Those guys are student athletes. They're not professional players. The more and more college football gets more and more like NFL football in terms of people getting paid and some of the money some of these kids are making, I'm starting to get a lot more liberal on the idea of booing. I personally probably will never boo, but I get it. And I think the folks at Darrell K. Royal yesterday that were sitting there in 95-degree heat to watch that, I don't blame them. But I don't know if it was directed at Arch. I don't know if it was directed at Sark. I don't know. But it was bad, and it happened a bunch of times. And again, I don't think it matters why. Fix the problems. Be better against bad teams. Love seeing the backs get worked into the passing game. I've been asking. Matter of fact, I think I said it Friday when I was on Texas Sports Unfiltered talking with Zay. I was like, where are the backs? Where are the backs in the passing game? Those are really high percentage throws, and they can turn into big plays. We saw a pretty big play on one early in the game, I think. Gotta get that going. Because I think, Sark recruits backs that can catch. That's his deal. And I'm 100% on board with that. I think being able to have a guy that can run the football, but also get out of the backfield and catch the ball. And some of these guys, man, Bijan Robinson, I think we've been butchering his name forever. And I can't recall exactly how he pronounced it in an interview earlier this year. But anyway, that guy could line up in the slot and go catch a ball like a wide receiver. That's how good he was. I think Jaden Blue was really good at it. I think Trey Wisner's really good at it. Believe we saw Christian Clark do it. And that was one of his things out of high school, was he was really good catching the football. So I like that. Let's get that. Let's get some more of that. I mean, to me, hey, the running game, I love that they pounded the rock. I've been waiting for them to try to be consistent with the running game and really, really commit to the running game, and they did it. But I think you can open things up for the backs by getting them the ball out in the flats. Spread that defense out horizontally. Make them cover more of the field. Or at least think about covering more of the field. So, see, it's not all bad. It's not all negative. I honestly think, and I'll probably, after I rewatch this, I'll probably have a different set of thoughts about this, because that's the same thing that happened last week. After last week, I was like, man, that was not good. Very disappointed. I mean, that's me and my wife. We're just sitting there like, man, that was disappointing. And it was worse yesterday than it was 2 weekends ago. But after I rewatched it, I thought, it wasn't that bad. We had a lot of positive things to say on Wednesday's show. So maybe we will again. 2/3 of the way through the get right games. Everybody talked about after that Ohio State game, you got 3 games to get right before you get a week off. and then you got to go to Gainesville. Florida doesn't look like what a lot of people thought Florida would look like either. But that roster is going to be good. And if we can't score points, that's a game where a DJ Lagway could make a play and you could lose. It's going to be on the road. I don't know how daunting of a place it is, daunting of a task it is to go into Gainesville from a noise perspective. I have no idea. But they're going to be tuned up for that one. Because it doesn't matter how good or bad Texas is playing. People hate them some Texas. So we got 2/3 of the way through the get right games, and we ain't right at all. And a matter of fact, we're going backwards. I think, to me, that's the most frustrating part. I know things take time. You can't just flip a switch and everything's great. I get that. I think most reasonable people do get that, even football fans. But I think to see the one step forward, two step back that we're seeing so far this season, I think that is what is so frustrating about watching this Texas offense. Michelle says it was way worse yesterday. She's absolutely correct. That was horrible. It's just tough to watch. I mean, it's not even, again, it wasn't even fun to watch, if that makes sense. Like, we only get 12 guaranteed football games every year. And they go by so fast. Like, football season, the older I've gotten, just freaking flies. I mean, I'll blink and we'll be in November. And we'll be going, what the hell happened? You want those to be as enjoyable as they can be. And I'm not just talking about winning. I've been to some games before that were enjoyable as hell that we lost. That Alabama game at home a few years ago. That was a fun ass game. Yeah, we lost. But you were excited to be there. You were excited to see what the team could do. The team answered some questions that day to me. Like, yes, the roster is ready to compete. Yes, despite injuries, this team can still compete with a very good football program. Hell, they had a chance to win it. Couple plays, and Texas wins that game. So it was enjoyable. Yesterday, not enjoyable. Last Saturday, not enjoyable. Even in victory. Yeah, LSU 2019. I wasn't at that one, but I bet you that was one. I bet you that was one that was fun as hell to be at, and you walked away from it going, not the result we wanted, but it was still fun to watch that team compete. Yeah, Joe's talking about people being dejected after a win, and that's exactly how I felt. And I think most Texas Longhorn fans that are like, there's like two kinds of fans. There's like fans that just go and they, they'll cheer, like they love it when the team does well or wins, right? Like they just see wins and losses. Like they don't understand the nuance and all of those things. And by the way, neither one of these are wrong. I'm not trying to say those people are lesser or more or whatever. Just saying, I think there's people like that go to football games, and if the team wins, they're happy. Then there's other people that are happy that the team won, but they can also see some of those things inside the game that aren't right. And it's disappointing. So I don't know if they can get right. I mean, I don't know. Not saying they can't. I will say that. Like, I am not throwing in the towel on the season. But They come out and do that against Sam Houston next Saturday. And I think you got to say, like, this is the offense. This is what we're going to have this year. We're going to have to figure out how to win games defensively. And I think that defense is really good. I think they will keep Texas in games. I don't see. There's a lot of games on the schedule now that I feel like we could easily lose, but I don't think there's any games on the schedule where I go, that team will probably blow us out. And that's because of the defense. I mean, anything's possible. But if you just looking at it on paper, Texas is gonna have chances to win games. Every single game the rest of the year. Can they do the stuff right to help them win those games is the concern offensively. And if they lay a goose egg like they did yesterday against Sam Houston, it's going to be what it is. And that is crazy to me, considering the talent this offense has and where we're at in the program build. Like, this isn't a year two thing. Like, we're coming off back-to-back playoff runs. Believe the only team to be in the playoffs those 2 seasons. Certainly the only team in the semis those 2 seasons. So we're like well past where we should have consistency problems. There's not a talent problem. Sark has been stacking talent since he got to Texas. And not only that, it's like good classes that like Phil needs. He's not going the Tom Herman route of getting a number 1 class and just landing a bunch of skill guys. He's like building the trenches, which is what you got to have. We've had the same offensive line coach since he got here. These guys should be developed. I've said this before, just kind of in passing, kind of throwing it out there as a question. I'm almost 99% of the way to where I'm going to say it like needs to happen, in my opinion. But I'll throw it out there for the sake of discussion. Like, get an offensive coordinator, Sark. I get you were a badass at Alabama. I get you were good in Atlanta, in the NFL. I think it's different when you're the head coach and you're trying to call plays. You're focused on one half of the game. I don't know how you can be as dialed in as you have to be as an offensive coordinator to call plays and still be a head coach and do all the things that a head coach should be doing. I think it's too much, and too much for anybody. Like, I'm not, this isn't to me like a Sark thing. This is just a thing. It's too complicated. Too much. Too much to have to manage. I was talking to we were taking a walk this morning, talking to my wife, and we were talking about the game yesterday and just like, what the hell, what's going on with the offense? I think it's like, I think there's almost maybe too many cooks in the kitchen. You've got Kyle Flood that I don't have it in front of me, but I think he's the quote unquote offensive coordinator. And I think he has something to do with building the running game plan. Maybe there's just too much. Maybe I know why he did it. He wants to keep Kyle Flood. Kyle Flood, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. You want to keep guys on your staff that are good. I get that. And so to do that, I think you got to promote those guys and you got to give them more responsibility. And, I get that. But at the same side of it, or on the flip side of that, I think you complicate things too. Like, there's disconnect somewhere. That's a good question, Joe. What adjustments do you think Sark should make on offense? Man, that's a really good question. It's easy to sit here and say this is wrong, that's wrong, everything's wrong. It's a whole different thing, obviously, to say what can you do to fix it. I don't know, man. I feel like when we watch Texas on offense, and this wasn't always the case. I thought early in Sark's tenure here at Texas, you could watch the games and see he was doing this to set this up. I mean, I remember vividly in the 49-0 game, there was a 3-play stretch in that game where we lined up in the exact same formation, ran the exact same pre-snap motion, and ran 3 completely different plays off of it, scored in 3 plays from like our 40-yard line or something. It was a clinic in getting people looking the wrong place and putting the ball somewhere else or running a different type of play. It was 2 passes and a run, I believe. The run sandwiched between the passes. And it was beautiful. I don't feel like we see that anymore. I feel like it's just like this. I feel like, if you got 50 different, let's say Texas runs 50 plays in a game, just a number, throw it out there. It looks like 50 different people called those plays in a vacuum. I think the first thing he's got to do, if you really want me to say what we need to adjust, stop taking the ball. Like if you win the toss, let the defense play. They're probably going to give you a short field. That's number one. Number two, I think we need to try to push the ball down the field more. He didn't look great yesterday doing it, but to me, that's where Arch really excels, throwing the deep ball. It was almost last year like you had Quinn that was really great on the short to intermediate stuff, but really struggled with the ball down the field. I think most of that was just his injuries. But then Arch would come in and just drop dimes like 50 yards down the field. And again, I know he hasn't done it this year, but that's there, I feel like, with Arch. I think that's what especially if you're going to bring 2 tight ends in and play like these tight formations. I know why he's doing that, because he's trying to get those matchups. So I think you got to get the ball down the field. Stop taking the ball, get the ball down the field. I liked what we saw out of the running game. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad either. Definitely not where Sark wants to be with it, but that's one of the things I came away encouraged about. Like in the past, when the running game doesn't, like really, if the running game hasn't got explosive plays, he just he puts that in his back pocket a lot. I think yesterday was one of the first times where he just was like, no, man, we're going to go try to run the football, and actually did it. So I like that. I think with a defense like you have, let's try to run the football. Let's run the football more, soften people up. Even if it doesn't work, you got a great punter. Let him punt. You got a great defense. Let him get the ball back for you. I almost feel like Sark is too impatient sometimes. Like he is 100% not comfortable winning a game like that, where you just punt the ball maybe 8 times in a game, but you figure out a way late in the game to make some big plays because you've worn that team down. They don't have it anymore. I could probably tell you a lot of other stuff, like if I have some time to think about it. That's a really good question, Joe. Appreciate you asking. So yeah, I think the and I think you'll hear it more and more. Like again, if this Texas offense turns out to be just a pretty big disappointment over the course of this season, which folks, I don't think it's impossible for this offense to get back on track. Crazy talented. The pieces are there. There's something missing. I don't know exactly what it is. Something is not quite right. But I think it can still be a good offense. But if it doesn't, you're going to hear more and more. And it's not just going to be fans like us. It's going to be like legit college football talking heads are going to start saying, why doesn't Sark get an offensive coordinator? I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on that? What is everybody's thoughts on Sark turning over the play calling? Do you think? I mean, I don't. I'm trying to remember where I heard it. I feel like it must have been one of the games, or maybe I saw a tweet yesterday. I'm not 100% sure. Someone said, and I haven't fact checked it, that like people, offensive minded coaches that call their own plays are just not national championship coaches. Very rarely. You like analytics. If that's true, there's some analytics. I, I think I think, life is about life is about self audit, self reflection, and being comfortable with the fact that maybe what you're doing isn't what you should be doing. I think that's how you stay successful. Sark's made it, right? He's there. He's coaching one of the best programs you could possibly coach. Arguably the best college football head coaching job in the country. But I think you still need to do some self-reflection sometimes and go, man, maybe I don't need to be the play caller. Maybe because I'm so focused on this offense, I'm missing other things during the game. Maybe because we have an offensive coordinator that sort of puts the run game together, coordinates that. Maybe that is discombobulated. Maybe there's a disconnect. The flip side of that is you can look at last year. You can look at the last 2 years. Offense was good, generally speaking. I mean, really, I thought that was I started talking about that last year for sure, maybe the season before that. Kind of just throwing it out with guests and things like that on the show. What are people's thoughts? And most people thought it was kind of a crazy idea. And again, maybe it is. But I think that's going to start ratcheting up if Texas can't do better than that offensively. MK says, I don't think this is on Sark. He gives Arch plenty of easy throws that he just completely. Hey, you're right. That's the other. The coaches, all they can do is call the play. They can't go out on the field and execute it. And there is a serious lack of execution happening offensively. I mean, a coach will tell you if everyone executes on this play, we'll score. That's probably true. The likelihood that everybody's going to execute on any given play, pretty low. So I think, again, you can scheme things up. The team's got to execute. I also think as a coach, you can look at it a different way. Instead of saying, hey, if we had done all this stuff right, we'd have scored or we would have been successful in this play. Maybe the team's just not good at being successful at those things. Maybe they're just not ready for that yet. One of the things that used to drive me crazy about Sark, and looking back on it, it's not a big deal. But at the time, we were going to do what Sark wanted to do offensively, and we would score a lot of points early in games and then just completely slam on the brakes. Like, forget like all gas, no brakes. Like we weren't even coasting. And we would lose football. I mean, I think we lost 5 games in a row or something like that in his first season here at Texas. And we had big leads in almost all of them. So he's going to do what he wants to do. And what he does can work. But can it work for this team? Can it work for this team right now? And we've seen him do it. We've seen him stray from what he really wants, because we know he wants to throw the football. Quinn's first season at Texas, he wanted to cut the ball loose. We saw him do it. We saw him do it to the detriment of the team a couple times, I thought. Like that Oklahoma State loss. Quinn threw the ball like 40-something times. We completely stopped running the ball at all in the second half, after we ran it down their throats in the first half. But we saw him do the opposite in the Baylor game. Quinn struggling. A lot like Arch struggled yesterday. And he put the game on the running back and the offensive line's backs, and they went and won the game. They didn't pass the ball a single time after Quinn Ewers fumbled that ball. They got ran in for a touchdown. Yeah, so I don't have the answers. I think it's fun to talk about the possibilities of what the answers are. I'm not down on this team completely. I am very disappointed in the last two games, from just can this team go compete? Can this team run through the SEC? I think right now, no. I just don't. If they play like that, no. We're going to lose a lot of close games. Yeah, do we even have a team psychologist? I don't know. I would imagine at the very least they bring people in, speakers in, things like that. Yeah, I don't know how much time there is for that during the season, though. To me, that seems like it'd be more of an off-season thing, but maybe I'm wrong. I never played at a Division I program, so and if I did, it would look totally different than what it looks like today. So yeah, those are my 10 thoughts. Follow us on Twitter. Drop your 10 thoughts. I'd love to hear them. There was some positive stuff. Hey, it wasn't all bad yesterday. But we got to make plays when we can make plays. And that starts with Arch getting the ball on target, and it starts with those, and it ends with those wide receivers catching the ball. The craziest thing so far about this year to me is we've either seen Arch miss really badly or we've seen guys drop. And that's a bad combination. The upshot to all this, I think, before we get out of here for the day, the upshot to me is you've got a guy in Arch Manning that is a different mindset type of guy. Like he's however old he is, 21 going on 50, when it comes to like psychology and being around the game and sort of having the right, knowing what he's got to do as a quarterback to get better and lead his team. He's got that in spades over what most guys that go into college football have. So I think that bodes at least somewhat well. It's a positive thing to me. And we'll see how it ends up. I don't know. I think, we'll talk Wednesday about, actually Thursday this week. We'll talk Thursday this week about moving forward to Sam Houston State. I think that's what they're called. Sam Houston, whatever. And figuring out what this team's got to do. And to me, it's the same stuff we talked about last week. Third downs, you got to be better. Penalties, you got to be better. Execution, y'all got to get better. And yeah, MK, I agree. Before we get out of here, one last thing. I agree. I think he is in his head a lot. Sark or Arch, we're talking about. I think he is. And yeah, someone said up in the chat, let him get punched in the mouth. He's that type of guy. Let him run the ball early in the game. Maybe that's it. Maybe he needs to get hit to kind of feel like he's part of a football game. I think Tim Tebow was a guy like that. Tim Tebow is a guy that could be really streaky, even inside of games. He could be really streaky passing the ball, but he seemed to wake up almost 100% of the time once he got busted one time. A lot of times he was the one delivering the blow. So I'm not saying let's go run Arch and have him smacking into people and initiating contact like that, but maybe that is something that he needs. Whatever is happening now is clearly not working, so switch it up a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they end up doing. You guys, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for jumping in the chat. You guys that jumped in and participated, I enjoy hearing everybody's thoughts. Check us out Thursday night. We'll be back to talk about this Sam Houston game coming up on Saturday. A lot of get righting has to happen pretty quick because we are almost out of get right games. You guys have a good one. Y'all get hooked.